Today, we are talking to Kat Norton, who has built her community on TikTok to over 1 million people talking about, nope, you're not going to guess it. It's Microsoft Excel. That's right. She's teaching Excel on TikTok and has blown up. You have to check out today how she did that, how she's built a creator business and a coaching business and a course business around her TikTok following. All on today's show. Check it out. The reason I'm excited is we get to talk about, obviously what's very popular right now, which is short form content, but more important than that, what it's like to build a creator business, to be a creator and find your voice, and this the business behind all of that. And the reason I want to talk into this is I got to see you speaking on stage, keynoting, social media marketing world, and your energy from the stage was just fire. And your story and what you brought to TikTok and what you were able to build using the expertise you already have. Your story is so interesting. I'd love people to understand how you went from where you were in like a 9-to-5 corporate job to becoming someone that trains and entertains leveraging social media.
Yeah. So before this, I was working at a global consulting firm doing securitization reviews for banks, which is as fun as it sounds, especially as a creative being over here. And on the side of my day job, I was also teaching Microsoft Excel internally for the company. And then with the start of the pandemic, I found myself back in my childhood bedroom of my parents' house. I was 27 years old, trying to figure out what I actually wanted to do with my life. And then fast forward to June 2020, I'm on the phone with my best friend, Anna, and we were like kind of spitballing different ideas, side hustles I could do with my Excel skills. And she goes, what if you put the Excel tips on TikTok? And I was like, TikTok, I'm 27, I have a corporate job. I didn't even have the app on my phone. But after she said it, I could not shake this idea, because when she said it, I literally saw me dancing with the screen above my head with an Excel screen. I have no video editing background. I'm like, I don't know how one would get an Excel screen over their head. Do I need a green screen? I don't know how that works, right? And I couldn't shake this idea though for like 48 hours. And it was a Friday afternoon. My schedule magically clears. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make a test video, because I saw this video, that Drake song, 2Z slide, left foot up, right foot slide to the left and the right function in Excel. And I'm like, I'm going to figure out a way to make this happen. And so I did a test video and was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. So I made my secret TikTok account, miss.excel, and only told my mother and my boyfriend what I was doing. None of my friends, obviously no one at work. Like, I was like, all right, if this thing flops, nobody's going to know. And so I started posting one video a day. And by the fourth video, it reaches 100,000 views and starts getting pushed to all these people I know. I have all these people texting me. I'm like, oh my gosh. Then by the sixth video, the CEO of an IT company reaches out and is like, hey, I love your teaching style. I'm looking to create a library of G Suite training videos for students, parents, and teachers, because this is when all the schools were going digital with the pandemic and they had contracts with a bunch of schools. And at this point, I'm like, well, clearly I'm a Microsoft gal, but I can learn these other products and maybe make another side business. So I formed an LLC. I bought a green screen. I bought a ring light, and I would work my day job. I had like a 40-hour consulting job. And then after that, I would film videos after work, sell them back to this guy. And at the same time, I kept making Miss Excel videos every day, because at this point, I'm like, it's helping a lot of people. It's starting to gain a little traction here. And within about 3 weeks, I had my first TikTok video go viral. And next thing you know, I looked down, the video had 3.7 million views and I had 100,000 followers, like pretty much within a couple of days. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Because if you saw my personal social media accounts, you'd be like, this girl is not the influencer type. Like, I really did not know what I was doing out there. And I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. So I'm like, all right, best create an Instagram account as well to hedge my risk, because this is when everything was going down in the news, TikTok getting banned, all that. So I make an Instagram and I proceed to go viral on TikTok and Instagram pretty much like every month, every other month for the next few months. And I grow a following of a few 100,000 people across the platforms. And at that point, it's October 2020. I got no product, no mailing list, Nothing. So
So let's pause right there because I think because we definitely want to jump into the business side of this, but
yeah.
what a story. I mean, just the idea in your head that I teach this thing and I have this creative idea that I'm just going to try and see where it goes. At that point in time, did you have any sense of, oh, I'm going to make a business out of this? Or was just like what was going through your mind when you posted that first video on TikTok?
The first video was like, I just kind of want to see what happens. Because I realized when I was making the video, I was getting so much fulfillment creatively out of making this. And then all these people started commenting and like saying it helped them. So then I was getting all this fulfillment from it helping people. So at that point, I'm like, let's make this thing. I didn't even like really think about courses. Like I had an MBA, but like they didn't teach us stuff like that, like how to make like an online social media business. So at that point, like I didn't really understand like you need the mailing list, the link tree, like all the bits and pieces. So at that point, I was just kind of having fun.
Had you seen TikTok video? You said you didn't have a TikTok account or something, or maybe not an official one. Have you watched TikTok videos or at least maybe reels?
So before that, I didn't even have the account on my phone. So I had seen like on the news or if like a friend
Sure.
showed me a video, but I had never had one. And before I made the account, I opened up TikTok and I looked around and was like, is anyone teaching Excel on here? And I spent an hour looking, could not find anyone. And I was like, okay, do they just not like Excel on TikTok? Like, is it the wrong market? I don't know. Or did no one think of this? And
Yeah.
that's where I was like, okay, because in the Excel space, it was really just the YouTubers. There's huge names in like the YouTube community for Excel. And that there wasn't really anything going on though on like TikTok and like the short form video content, like on the vertical side. So then I started kind of bringing that out. Now there's so many of us. There's like 40 of us. Microsoft built a community around us. It's awesome. But it really, when I first started doing it, it wasn't a thing.
And that's still not a lot. I mean, 40 is not a lot. I mean, there's so much content you could be putting out and so many people that are looking for, all kinds of information. I do want to talk about the business side because you've built a really interesting business because you didn't start with an idea. You didn't say, what I'm going to do is build this amazing training program. You said, I have things I want to teach. So talk about how it went from, you mentioned you got someone who requested you to do some trainings for them. What happened after that turned this into an actual business?
Yeah. So now we're back in like October of 2020, a few 100,000 followers across the platforms, zero product, zero mailing list. A business coach had reached out to me in my DMs and was like, hey, like, notice you got a big following over there and no product. And I'm like, oh, touche. I guess people do that out here, right? And so I did the basics, right? I had like MailChimp at the time. I did the link tree. I set up a little automation with the freebie and started growing a mailing list. Because at that point, I was kind of learning the value of a mailing list. And then the obvious next step seemed to be to build an Excel course, like a full 12-hour long Excel course, like broken into cool mini lessons, still really fun, cool, and creative, and still very me, but something where someone could sit down and get from start to end. And people had been asking for it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this thing. So I started selling my first Excel course. I took 2 weeks off from my day job. I'm still at my day job at this point. I take 2 weeks off, was on vacation in my living room. And I filmed in those 2 weeks, my first 100 video Excel course, filmed everything myself, mapped it out, video edited every video because I got good after doing a lot of social media content. I'm like, all right, we're just going to do it on these and really infuse that with my creative processes too on the editing side. And then I started selling the courses in November of 2020. And then by January of 2021, so 2 months later, the passive income that was being just brought in from these courses selling, they were all evergreen on demand, like make them once and they're done. So the evergreen income from that was actually bringing in more each month than my day job was. And this Excel took me like 10 hours a week and my day job took me like 40 hours a week. So at that point I was like, I got to rethink my priorities. So in January of 2021, quit my consulting job and became a full-time entrepreneur. And then from there, I built out 9 more courses and scaled it into a multi-million-dollar business after that. And it was just kind of a matter of creating more volume. I kept growing the audience. I started posting on all the platforms. I started doing webinars, like online free Excel classes where I pitch at the end. And that was like something that really moved the needle for us. And then I hired a team because I was doing the whole thing myself, even down to like customer service for 15,000 students. So I ended up hiring a team. We got a small but mighty team. And yeah, the business just grew pretty effortlessly from there. It was just a matter of kind of getting the right things in order.
Wow. So let's talk about those, like what you built. So if any of you want to see this in real life, because you're just really curious, you can just go to missexcel.com with a dash in between. So miss-excel.com, or go to your social media handles at miss.excel and look at your link in bio to find that. The courses themselves, you started with was it the Excel course that was first, the accelerator course,
Yes,
as you call it? What was it like building that? You said you did it in 2 weeks.
yes.
Tell us like what went into that and like how you structured it in a way that felt authentic to you.
Yeah. So this was actually like my creative baby. It was so much fun to make. And so I got the course creation process down after that one to 1 week per course, because a way that you learn how to do that is when you're selling courses before they're done.
I'm still trying not to create in 6 months, and you're talking about you went from 2 weeks to 1 week. Let's pump the brakes here.
Listen, it was born out of necessity, but my method works. So basically, I was going on these webinars and I was selling a complete suite, which was all the Microsoft Office products. So PowerPoint, Word, Outlook, OneNote, Teams, Excel. And I'd only built the Excel ones though at the time, but I knew those ones were going to sell. And a lot of times people do this for proof of concept. You put it in pre-sale and you get the sales first, then you build it out. So I put it in pre-sale and it like sold off the shelves, and so many people bought it and they were like, okay, like I want my course. And I was like, oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to build out another 8. So I just was like rinse and repeat. I got the process down really tight. I'd spend the first day mapping out the course. So I would map out everything I want to teach. And like Brent, I've been using these products for years. So that part came pretty easily, right? And so I would like outline it in a way that like actually really made sense though. And then I would sit with that outline and I would infuse it with creativity. So I'm like, how can I make every single one of these lessons actually really cool? Like, am I taking you out in the desert for a hiking boot example? Am I, I'm teaching functions. I'll do wheel of functions, like wheel of fortune, like get a green screen, build that out. Like I was just like trying to think of like all the out of the box things I could do to actually get someone to pay attention. Because if you're not going to pay attention, you're not going to learn, right? So I did that for the course. That'll be day 1. Then day 2 and 3 would be my filming days. So hair, makeup, do the setup. And there were roughly about 12-hour courses each. And I would break those into 5 to 10 minute little mini lessons on each topic. So at the end, the courses become this ongoing reference guide that's really clearly labeled. So if you need a VLOOKUP, you click the VLOOKUP button, you get a lesson on how it works. So I would spend, 6 hours each of those days filming based on the sheets or whatever, like variables I built out the day before. So I'd have like the outline and then like, the worksheet I'd walk through or whatever. And so I do 2 2-hour filming days, give or take, sometimes a little more. And then those next 3 days I edit. So that was the most time consuming for me. It's like hair in a bun, sit down, don't move. And I literally sat for 3 days, just like going in, editing everything, making sure it all looks really good. And then on the last day, I would launch and post and make the course go live. And then I'd start up again the next day. And I just kind of wailed through those because they had already sold so many and I didn't want people waiting. So I did that for my whole Microsoft Office suite.
Wow, I mean, that's insane productivity from someone who's built courses. I think what it means is that you put just what they're needed to be for them to really get what they needed out of the course into it. What tool were you using to build the course? What was your hosting platform for courses?
Yeah, so I use Thinkific to host. It was super easy to like click, drag, build my website, upload everything. I've since had developers for my current website. If you see, I had developers actually build me one on top of Thinkific. So I had this vision of like things moving and exactly what I wanted it to look like. So about 1.5 years later, I had a team go in and build that out for me. But my original site was just on Thinkific, click and drag. I was still making all the sales.
Yeah, and so you build landing pages too from that. Did you use their Thinkific landing page builder as well?
Yeah, that's what I was using. Yep. For all that stuff, I use all Thinkific, their landing pages, everything. It makes it super easy if you don't have any background, like building a website, and which I did not. And then eventually though, I had this vision of what I wanted it to be with some like added like coding and stuff was needed. So I hired Course Studio, which is an amazing company that works on top of Thinkific, especially.
Amazing. And then there's usually emails that go along with this. Did you sit there and write out email sequences with a certain CRM and how did that go?
Yeah, so I use Flowdesk now because I got in at beta stage for $20 a month, no matter how big my mailing list is. So that has been a huge money saver compared to other platforms, which charge me like thousands a month based on the size of my list. So yeah, I use Flowdesk. It's awesome, super easy to use. And I do that for like my freebie sequence. I do that for my webinar sign up sequence. And then any like course emails send from directly within Thinkific. So like when someone signs up, automatically sends them their welcome email. I still remember the day I like set up that automation. It was the best feeling because when I first made the course, the Excel one, I was like manually sending each person's welcome email every time I got a sale. And I was like, all right, there's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah. Well, I reason I'm asking these questions is because I think it helps people to understand how to build these things. That you did it in 2 weeks is phenomenal, considering that there's all these elements. It's not just record 10 videos or whatever it is. There's the editing and the setting up and the pushing out to the different platforms and the connecting them. The flow for people to find you, I think this is how my mind works. I hope other people find this interesting. So you start with your social media platform. They find you in a video or something like that. It might have changed now, but maybe at the beginning. That pushes to link in bio. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from link in bio, what do they see? What do they find first?
So link in bio would normally, like when I was first starting out and first selling it, they would get my top 31 functions PDF guide. So they would get the guide and then that would start the 5 email sequence. I did the ClickFunnels model, like the Russell Brunson one, where you do those 5 emails. And then on the last, like, I think the 4th, you announce the offer and the 5th is the last like call email.
And then were those direct sell emails or was that to a webinar?
Those were direct sells. So I did that before. I didn't start doing webinars until April of 2021. And that's when I took the business. It wasn't even at 6 figures at that time.
Yeah.
And then after that, we scaled it from 6 to 7 pretty quickly.
But I think it's good for people to know, like when you're starting, you don't need what you see the people who are, 5 years ahead of you having. You can, if your social media is kicking, you're like, I should sell something now because I have some kind of following. A link in, you don't even need a website. You could have a link in bio to your PDF, for your example, that sends them an email from your email provider. And if you can build a course out, that's a Thinkific course. That's all technically without a website. You can do all of those things to get you started.
Something I want to say too, in case anyone is getting blocked by the fact that they don't have professional camera or professional setup. That's something I get from people a lot. They're like, well, I need to hire like a videographer, this. I filmed all of my courses on an iPhone. I have over 17,000 students. I've never gotten one comment about video quality ever in the history of all my courses. 17,000 students, everything filmed on iPhone. You have the technology in your pocket. So
let's say we have a model for what your starting kind of structure was when you went from content creator to, adding training business to it. When you said, I see some things here that I can change to scale this up because I'm ready to go, to a bigger audience and a bigger kind of sales group. What was the things that you started to add first to that?
A team helped me a lot. That was the first like hardest thing for me to do too, because I'm such a like energizer bunny with my business. I love every part of it. I was like, but then I was spending like 3 hours a day doing customer service emails, and I answer any Excel question my customers have, anything they got. And I spent a lot of time like thought putting into that. And I was like, okay, I need like a clone of myself. I was like, I just need another set of hands. And so I ended up hiring a few different people. This was last year. Yeah, a lot of them just hit their 1-year anniversary. So it was like early last year. My first hire was a graphic designer, my Jean. She lives in the Philippines. She is amazing. And she was helping me make like the cover images for my content. And that was my first hire because I was like, okay, I'm spending a lot of time in Canva making these, and she could do a much better job. Then second, I hired Tika, who is my amazing. She is my customer service, but also everything specialist. She's like my right hand, and she helps me like manage my emails, my inbox. Because at that point, the business had gotten a ton of press. I was in like 50 global news outlets all over, Forbes, Business Insider, Entrepreneur Magazine, like everywhere. And all these different leads started pouring in. And at that point too, the corporate side of the business, so I also do live 60-minute Excel classes for a ton of different Fortune 500 companies. I've even done these at Microsoft. And then I also do bulk course sales for these companies too. At that point, I had like 700 leads or something ridiculous, and I did not have time to go after them. But my boyfriend was the number one ranked sales rep in North America at Enterprise, the like car rental company. And I was like, yo, what if we work together on this thing? So I ended up bringing on him and I'm like, here's the lead list. And he was like, oh my gosh, like all these people had reached out because my whole business pretty much has been inbound leads. So it was just a matter of like, I didn't have time to like go back and forth on all these deals because I was doing everything else. So we brought on Mike. He has been crushing it. And then I brought on recently too a video editor and a social media manager. Those are my two more recent ones to help me with like actually making the screen recordings and then editing the videos. Cause I was spending like an hour for every 15-second TikTok I make. And I was like, all right, I should probably, outsource that, even though it's part of my creative process, but they do such a good job, even better than what I would have done. And they're really good at like capturing my vision in my head and like getting it out.
I love it. I love it. I think that's a lot for people to take in today. I think I'm excited to see where you take this, especially as you dive into, how do I take this creative energy and the balance and all the life lessons and turn those into the next iteration of where this is going to go. It's exciting to watch and see what's next for you. And for all of y'all listening, make sure to check out Miss.Excel online on your favorite platforms, Instagram, TikTok. Even if you're not into Excel, it's worth watching to get those creative juices flowing. Take a plunge into creative entrepreneurship and build that next version of yourself. Thank you all for listening, and we will catch you next time. Brands on Brands.